or look at what I was eating and saying, you eat. So my brother would have cookouts. And he would specifically call me and say, are you coming? Because I'm going to have to get extra food because I ate.
All right, so tell them where we got it from this week.
So we got burgers from Mother's Bar and Grill in Timonium, Maryland. And we are getting ready now because Morgan's got to put her ketchup on. We are getting ready to take big fat bites.
Wow.
She's
pretty large and in charge.
Yeah, do you got a big mouth? I mean, I can work on that. What a mess, but it's a good mess. Ready? Boom. Oh, you got bacon.
Turkey bacon.
No, excuse me. You just get regular hamburger? Mm-hmm. I got a bison burger. With onions, mushrooms, and an egg.
Okay. I got a regular burger with no cheese, turkey bacon, lettuce, tomato, onion, and ketchup.
This is really good. I don't know. I think I like this one better than last week.
The seasoning.
The hamburgers were prettier and less messy.
Where, last week? Or last time?
Last week.
Yeah, last time.
These are, I don't know. Messy is good.
Messy, but like the burger actually has flavor to it.
Yeah. And it's cooked
which
well.
I'm a fan
bison
of.
Can be really dry. You gotta really season it, but this is really good. Especially with the egg. And onions. You're doing okay over there. What the hell is going on over there?
I'm starving. This is so good. Wow.
This is so good. Can we just stop?
Okay. The fries.
Well. Wait, it's still, oh shit. I'm going to put that down. Grab another one. I'll save that one for another one.
Okay.
They're very soft.
Not crispy. Not crispy.
No, I was just...
What's your rating?
So, and I remember what last week or last time we did this, I gave it a 10. I mean, an 8. Mm-hmm. You did a
8.5.
And I was like, what the heck's 0.5 for? This is really good. I'm going to give it a 10.
Wow.
I like the flavor.
Whoa.
I like but I got egg on it, mushrooms, onions, and those are some of my favorite things.
Got it.
So, but the burger also has a nice taste to it.
It does.
Even though it's cold. Like last week, we did eat cold here last time. But they were still good. But this is cold and this is amazing. So that's why I'm giving it a 10. Because if we're eating cold food.
And it's still good.
There you go.
How about the fries?
Yeah, I don't think. I'll do you like a 3.5. Oh, I don't even know what the 0.5 is. 0.5 is the extras that I was putting on.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, I just, the fries were. And
10 for the burger.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm going to give the burger a 9. I like I said, I think it one-ups what we had last time.
Yeah.
From Cooper's. The seasoning, like the actual taste of it was definitely better. I feel like the burger from Cooper's was a little bland. But yeah, the fries were
Yeah.
like a 3.
Yeah.
A 3.
I do miss the pickles.
Yeah. Pickles.
Miss the pickles.
Miss the pickles.
That's probably why I gave it an 8.
All right, so
The pickles. Next time we have to ask for pickles.
we have to ask for pickles. But anyway, shout out to Mother's Grill
Yeah.
North in Timonium. This is where we got our burgers from. Check them out. It was popping in there when I picked up the food. So
Yeah.
patio, everything else in between.
Yeah, that's a busy place.
It is. All right,
Okay.
let's get to it.
All right. We're back.
We're back, bitches.
Oh, I love that word. Didn't even know how to spell it. If you
Huh?
can't spell something, then you can't use it. So if you can't spell bitch, you ever heard that?
No, is that like a...
Well, back in the olden days, if you wanted to say something and you couldn't spell the word, then you couldn't say it.
Oh,
So you know how to spell bitch?
yeah?
All right.
I could spell backwards.
What is it?
HC...
No.
What?
Bitch is. Spell
Oh.
bitches. Bitches.
SEHCTI
B. All right. You passed. You can say it. Anyway.
Anywho, we are back, episode 2.
Yeah.
In a different scenery here.
Yeah. I like this one.
Yeah, you dig it?
Yeah, I do.
You dig?
I do. We got flowers. Can't see them. Candles. Can't see it.
Hey, whatever, by any means.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, we completely forgot to introduce ourselves in the first episode. So I think
we
it's
did.
important that we go over who we are,
Yeah.
what we do,
Yes.
also dive more into the conversation that we had in our first episode about the why behind the name, because I think that's important too.
Yeah.
So
I
why don't we start with you and what is your name and who are you and
Oh
where are
my
you
God.
from and what's your birthday and
sure you want
your
all
social
that?
security number?
Oh my gosh, I don't know that. Well, my birthday, as well, you know. So I'm Angela. I work for Break Bodies. I've been in the fitness industry for 33 years. I've been at my current job. I have done everything from personal training to managing trainers to membership, setting up corporate accounts, just a wide variety of things that I've done in the fitness world. You want my birthday for real?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you should know. I guess it's 2 weeks. I'll be 60.
Raise the roof. Raise the roof.
No. Do you see how I plastered all my wrinkles?
Nah, not even.
Anyway.
Not even.
Thank you, Morgan. You probably just need some glasses. So you're getting to be that age. But yeah, on February 26th, I'll be 60. I think we got to talk about that. It's weird. Okay. It's very weird.
It ain't nothing but a number.
Well, you know, there's a reason why we're doing this, and it is about the number, but it isn't about the number.
Right.
The conversations that we have just because of our different ages, and then I'll let you talk about you, is just one of the reasons why we're doing this, because 2 different generations, but we still experience the same things. And I think it's really interesting that there's so much in common that we have, but we're like 30 something years apart. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when I know I'm just going off a little tangent, but and I said this in the last one, I think, when I talk to you, I don't see you as, how old are you?
I'm 25.
I don't see you as 25. I see us we talk about a lot of stuff. We get into all kinds of conversations. And again, very organic conversations. You know, we do laugh a lot. That's usually my humor. But I think it's really interesting that we're able to do that, because there are women my age that I have nothing in common with, nothing at all. And I can't have the same conversations that I have with you, which I think is pretty amazing. I'm going to good night myself just for a second, because I want you to be able to.
I think that was great.
Talk about
That was great.
Your social security number first.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, well, my name is Morgan. My birthday is July 13th, 1998, so I'm 25 years old.
Oh, you know. What was I doing?
I'm born.
Oh my god, you weren't even born.
I have to give a bio here.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I was born in Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in Pikesville.
Okay.
And I was an athlete growing up. I started getting into fitness the end of my senior year.
Yeah.
Was a 12-season athlete in high school, but also, you're going to laugh at this. I used to go to the gym after my practices my senior year in high school because I was just driven.
Well,
and I love the gym.
That doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't laugh at that.
Well, because, like, Morgan, what are you doing? Like, you literally just went through a 2-hour practice and now you're going to the gym for another 2 hours? What are you doing?
Well, now that you put it like that, I might... probably for me personally, yeah, I'd be like, there's something else going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no one wants to do
anywho, I got into the gym my last year of high school, which when I got to college, I stopped playing sports, got more into the gym. Studied exercise science, got my cert while I was studying exercise science, and that's when I started personal training. And
I need to make some stuff up.
Huh?
I need to make some stuff up.
No, you just gave a brief overview, but I started personal training in 2017, and then by 2021 created my own LLC. Yeah. So now I'm fully online coaching, and also touched on this last time, getting into other things with the cookbook, stuff like that too. So
I saw your post. I was like, okay, that's a good idea because we were brainstorming some things. Yeah, and that was a really it's about getting your information out there, and the best way to do it is through people that already love you and already are following you. So I thought that was good because remember we were trying to figure out you were bouncing ideas off of me. So I was like, that was awesome.
Yeah, people love it when I talk.
I listen to you sometimes, and then I fall asleep. No, I'm kidding.
Come on now.
I'm just kidding, only because it's bedtime. Not now, but...
Right. So, got into fitness, and now we're here, and met Angela, like I said, in the last episode. Yeah. Years before that, and...
Yeah, because you worked at Brick Bodies for a little bit.
Right.
With me, and then that was after COVID, and there was just a lot going on. Yeah. So, to venture out and kind of see... when you left, and with a lot of trainers at that time were like leaving and trying to figure out where they should be, because at that point we really didn't know if gyms were going to be fine, right? And especially with personal training, some people still think that's a luxury. That's a whole other conversation, which it's really not. And for the most part, most trainers lost their entire business. And it is performance based. If you don't train, can't make a living. Right. But I think what's amazing is to be able to walk away from that, take some time, and then just look where you are now, which is pretty amazing. I, as being, helping develop trainers over the years, it never was there a conversation about virtual training. Usually trainers would go and open up their own businesses, and that's a lot. As well. What you do is a lot too, but it just shows you where the industry was going after COVID. Because for a trainer to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go start my own business virtually," it was like that was never a conversation to be had.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand the value behind online because people are so used to in person. Yep. And don't get me wrong, like in person has its value. Yeah. If you're hands-on person. But what I found when I was doing in-person training is a lot of people became dependent on me to work out. And also in that time period of doing in-person sessions, we only had an hour or maybe 30 minutes to even get through a good workout. It wasn't talking about nutrition, their habits outside of the gym, which is predominantly the most important thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
So once I was able to get a grasp on online and how that works, that just opened up a whole new door to teach people how to become self-sufficient. Because that's the name of the game. Self-sufficiency.
It is. And, when you think about why, and me included, because I was a trainer, why we have jobs is because people aren't self-sufficient. You know what I mean? And that's just a small piece of it. There's a lot of things. People need coaching and they need support. But again, we have jobs because of that reason. And I think, as, one of the things we experience is like, we want to meet with people more than 2 times a week, but, that's a big financial investment for some people, even scheduling and time. So, through what you do, people can pick and choose for the most part, right? If you're here and, that person, you can't meet with them till 7:00, but you're not going to be able to meet till 7:00 because of the commute or whatever the case may be here, it's not a big deal. Like you can just meet through whatever, ways that you guys are meeting, which is pretty much through, I guess you're using Zoom, I'm assuming, or just a whole different platform now.
Well, I don't even do face-to-face stuff. It's all programming. It's all detailing out so that the moment you walk into the gym what you need to do. Yeah. It's getting you independent. Because if we were still Zooming, that's not independency. You're still depending on me for that workout session via Zoom. Versus
so you're teaching some pretty valuable things.
Right. And this could be someone who's a beginner and has never lifted a single weight before or someone who's more advanced. Yeah. Teaching you how, what to do the moment you walk in the gym with a plan. Yeah. So that way it takes the thinking out of it for you.
That makes a lot of sense.
Same thing with nutrition.
No, let's stick on that because there is a reason why we need to focus on that a little bit more. I definitely want to table that because I think there's so much more to that than that we're talking about, right? And getting people to be more accountable for their health and fitness is huge. And if people are actually following that style of training, right? That's pretty amazing. Well, and doing it, and I see the before and after pictures of your clients, and I'm like, wow, that person did that on their own. And people seem to think that they need, and in my generation, the older population might need to be more in-house, I'll say, just because of maybe whatever rehab you're trying to do, or who knows, you know what I mean? But I think, and it's also my generation, we just look at things a little bit differently than yours, right? Technology and all these things are not as easy for us. So again, let's table that, but I definitely want to go back to the nutrition portion just because of the reason why we started this and why we're doing what we're doing. Because we will just get into a million different conversations like we did last time, which I think were great. And each one of those could be tabled for an entire podcast. But, and as in our last episode, I said to Morgan, I was like, I don't know, I kind of remember it different. But that's only because, I'm an old lady. My brains aren't always so great. But, Morgan was in the club working out. And I thought that I was working out with you, but I guess I was. Or with you, I guess I was working. But long story short, her mom, I think your sister.
Mom.
Just your mom. They were at Cooper's. And they invited Morgan to come eat a hamburger. And she was like, I don't know. Him and hawing, that's old people's thing. And I said, oh, Christ, bitch, just go eat a burger. And that's when we were like, And then it just expanded from there. And I think the biggest thing was like, God, stop making such a big deal about it, Morgan. And that was my way of saying, eat a burger, bitch. Because I was like, what is the big deal? Just eat it. Go have fun. Go with your mom. It's okay. And I think that's what we want to really talk about today, that it's okay. Nutrition wise, there are things, guidelines that we need to follow depending on what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. But you need to understand like that creates stress in the body, right? If you're stressed about food and you're stressed about things, it creates a whole network of things that happen within your body. So just let things go and just live your life. It's okay. It's not going to ruin anything. If you can continue on, I don't know. Those burgers, I might be eating another one. But, and that's how we got here. And then, just brainstorming. I was like, oh, I don't even know who said it. We can get burgers and, we can, you know, in our area, we can go to different restaurants and critique burgers and show like it's okay, you know, for somebody who's 25 or for someone who's 60. We both train the same way. Will I wake up tomorrow and feel horrible? Absolutely not, on both ends. I don't have a lot of regrets with food. I've had to change some things lately just because, you know, women my age hormonally, which is a whole nother podcast that I definitely want to touch on. But for today, just really making sure that we understand what food does for us and how it can help and not hinder us and help.
And also how habits that you form, or just how you're brought up in your household too, how that affects your decisions later down the road when it comes to nutrition. And I know for me, the whole, I guess, back and forth between, you know, should I get the burger, should I not, was...
Well, let me stop you there. So I'm gonna kind of guide you, because I want you to talk about this, and we've had this conversation just recently.
Yeah.
But when you are follow Morgan on Instagram, and some tickety talkities
at Morgan, the personal trainer.
I don't even know who I'm talking to. Anyway, you post a lot of before and after pictures of yourself.
Yeah.
Your before pictures, like your after pictures, like what is this girl doing? Like, you look amazing. And I'm not saying that you didn't look amazing in your before pictures, but there's a huge difference. And I have a good idea of what you probably were doing, but most people would not know unless they're working out, unless they work out and they really understand nutrition. So I kind of want to I want you to fill us in on the before and what you were doing.
So the before picture that I use a lot, and there's a couple and they're all within the same time period.
Yeah.
Was actually when I first started training. Like I had my cert.
Yeah.
And like to look back and to think,
Is that
like
when I first met you?
No, this was before. This was 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Right. So I was still in college.
Yeah.
I was in my second going into third year of college. And I just remember, you know, the college atmosphere of, first off, I was very limited with food because, you know, dining hall, all that good stuff, and trying to eat well. And so my dad was delivering me groceries because I wanted chicken and stuff like that. Yeah. So like there was a point in time where I was still trying my best to still eat well and not eat much in the dining hall. And then obviously you're in college, right?
Right. Well,
I'm going out and I'm in a sorority and so like my biggest problem was I was restricting myself during the week, and it was when I learned kind of about macros and tracking calories, I'd say my freshman year of college. And like at that point in time, I was constantly trying to lose weight because I wasn't at a point where I was losing weight and I was running in circles, right? Like, you know, people who are always saying like, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose weight. And it's like,
and I'm eating really good. And
are you not? Out. Are you losing weight? Probably not.
No.
Like there's a reason, right? And there was a reason why I wasn't losing weight and why I kept starting back and also getting worse. Like I was gaining weight.
You were gaining weight. You're probably losing muscle.
Yes. And so I would restrict myself during the week.
Yeah.
And then find myself in episodes of just binging out on things that I would get from like the little store on campus where you could like use your points or whatever and just get stuff and eat it and then completely regret it afterwards and then try to start all over again the next week and restrict myself during the week, only eat salads and this and that, and then by the weekend come again, it was the same thing. On top of that,
your poor body.
I was on top of that, I was working out every day, trying to counteract what I was inputting, right?
And what you were seeing,
right? Cardio,
oh my gosh,
kickboxing, stairs. I was trying to do everything because I was like, okay, well, I felt so shitty afterwards. I was like, I'm just gonna go do cardio and balance it out. Well, did it work? No. Look at my pictures.
No. Well, I mean, I didn't realize you were doing Oh my God. Meanwhile, I'm the opposite. But, you know, I think I see that in the gym every day.
Yeah.
And I see that. I mean, I and you know, I still see her. She was funny. She would come in the morning, excuse me, and she would do, when she was pregnant, I was like, girl, slow down. But she would do cardio, like an hour. She would run on that treadmill, and then she would go back to work and then come back after work and then do a class or lift. And it was a lot. And that's her personality. She was very small.
Type A?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Like, you know, she has stayed in touch with me here and there, and she did, which is crazy because she came back to join with her son who was 15. I remember she was pregnant with him. So
oh, wow.
Like,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember just saying, like, stop, just take a break, but she just couldn't. It was in her. But was it hurting her? I mean, we never had a conversation about what her goals are. She was very small, and I think it was more stress release and just her personality. You know, at least she was breaking it up a little bit. So it was cardio in the morning and some strength training. Sometimes you do like a body pump class, which that's strength training. You know what I mean? And I think that's all that she could commit to. But, you know, on the other hand, you know, I see people just constantly doing the same thing that you're doing. And I don't see changes in people's bodies.
That I was doing.
Right.
That I
not
was
now.
Doing. Yeah.
Not now. So knowing what you know now,
right.
What did you do to change to get to where you are now with the goal, with the way you look now? It's probably what you were trying to accomplish in college.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I hired somebody to help guide me because I was lost.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm a personal trainer at that time and had my cert, doesn't mean I know everything.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, and this took years too of figuring out what works best for me and learning my body and learning that I'm a very high cortisol driven person. So doing more does not work out for me.
Yeah.
And also trying to eat less and overworking myself doesn't work for me either. So right now, like just for example, like I only train 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And that's just because that's what my body can handle. And in all honesty too, I make sure those 4 sessions are intense enough where I need those 3 days of recovery. Yeah. Because in all honesty, if you can hit the gym every single day, intensity somewhere is just not questionable. Yeah. So it was finally learning for myself that I can out-train my diet and less is more, 100%. And all it takes is a 45-minute workout session. You don't need more than that.
Yeah.
I don't do, at this phase of the game where I'm at right now, I don't do that much cardio. In fact, I don't do any right now.
Yeah.
I just walk.
Yes.
And walk. Yes, I walk. I make sure I'm moving throughout the day. Cause
do you track your steps? Do you
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I mean, is 10,000 what?
I think 10,000 is a great goal. But I also think for the average American that only takes 3,000 steps a day, you'd probably want to aim low, like maybe 7,500, and then work yourself up to 10. Yeah. But also don't get to a point where you're setting this 20,000 step goal, and then you're taking into other things that you should be focusing on, right? Like you're staying up later to get more steps in, and you're not getting enough sleep. Well, it's like you gotta.
It wouldn't surprise me, but
yeah. So
I love the commitment, but
right.
You don't have to do that.
It was learning that I needed to fuel my body the right way. I needed to eat enough. I also needed to put my body through different phases. I'll call it phases. I'll call it seasons. And that way you can work diet breaks and free meals is what I call them. Like the burgers into your lifestyle where it's actually benefiting you in a way and not hurting you. Because where I was at before when I was restricting myself, eating a burger, eating fries, eating anything fried was completely against the grain of what I thought I needed to do.
So with that being said, the day that you were all, it's like, oh my God, Morgan, that's probably I don't want to say an after effect or something that you were feeling before, and it was coming out. And so I think that's also something to be aware of, triggers or things, because you may not even realize that you might be sabotaging your goals from things in the past. Like if I wasn't there, who would you have gone? Maybe
probably not.
You know
probably
what I mean?
Not.
Because, you know, like, I mean, I mess with Morgan a lot and I tease her, but I really meant it that day.
You did.
My gosh, just go eat it. And I think what that also told her was, well, that's my mentality. Like, I have a whole different background or a whole different story, you know, for me. And it's always been less is more. And I've said, oh, I think I'm lazy, but I'm not. I think it's just my generation, or not even my generation, but how I got into the fitness industry, where women, and we talked a little bit about this last episode, and I don't want to get into more of that or repeat what I said, but, you know, I think maybe what I didn't really get into is that I ate food, and I grew, I mean, and I liked it. Now, women nowadays are wanting to look like that, but back in the 90s, people were like, whoa, what is you, and oh, you're so muscular, oh, you know, or look at what I was eating and saying, you eat. So my brother would have cookouts, and he would specifically call me and say, are you coming? Because I'm going to have to get extra food because I ate. And I was like a machine. Like it was, even I was like, well, how do I even have abs? How am I built like this with the way I eat? Because I didn't really quite understand how nutrition was helpful then either. And the fact that, you know, the way I trained was not every day. I didn't have time to do it every day. And I will agree with you that the type of training that I was doing then, I needed a couple days off because I trained in the weight room with men who were pushing me, and I was pretty strong, and I would still push myself. And so I would take breaks. And it was something, I didn't do cardio, and I wasn't trying to lose weight, but I really wanted to focus on my muscle. And again, you know, to do those exercises, you know, you got to take breaks, right? Even then, but you know, there weren't a lot of supplements. I honestly, Morgan, I couldn't tell you if there was whey protein shakes. I know GNC was around. I have no clue what was in there, but I just ate food. Whole foods. And I ate. So back to my brother, I think we talked about this. It was so funny. So I'm coming. He was like, all right. So he would order extra food because I am an eater. And I remember going to my brother's cookouts, and there was people that didn't know me. And, you know, back then to a woman with muscle, people were like, whoa, like, ooh, what is that? And I knew it. So I was always like, hey, everybody. And I would sit down and I'd have two plates. One plate was full of hamburgers and hot dogs with buns, potato salad, whatever. And then my other plate was full of, like, you know, cake and some cookies. Okay. And I would laugh because people were always watching what I was eating. And I knew they were watching me, and I was eating. And my brother knew it too, because I could hear him laughing. He goes, "Are you going to go get another plate?" I was like, So I did. I was hungry. And then I sat down. This one woman was like, I got to ask, like, I'm so confused. We need to know, like, do you eat like that all the time? And how do you look like that? And I remember really not understanding the science behind it then, because it was very different. That was still like early 2000s, late 90s, or maybe in the late 90s. And I was like, oh no. I said, well, I'm a lifter. And I've always said I'm just a lifter, and I lift heavy, and I'm hungry, and I'm sure I just burn a lot of calories, but I'm not going to ever deprive myself. And one of the lady was like, are you getting ready for a show? And I'm like, no, because I'd have to deprive myself. I was like, no, you know, I love food too much. And so when I saw how my body was changing with like real food, and I wasn't eating like that all the time, but I didn't deprive myself. So if there was a cookout or a party, I was eating the cake, I was eating the cookies, I was eating everything, because if there wasn't a cookout for another 3 weeks, then I wasn't eating like that. So it didn't hurt me. As a matter of fact, I'm thankful that I have the appetite that I have. And I've never once ate anything and had a regret, ever. And I think in itself, when I was talking about just life decisions and even food, people get so stressed out. And no offense to you, but you were really beside yourself.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, let's go.
Yeah.
Go get 2 of them. I think you sent me a picture and I was like, yes, good girl. But I think that just that little phrase for you was like a game changer for you in your head. And I think it clicked like, wait a second. And then we went off on a whole tangent about nutrition, but and then I explained to, Morgan, my background in eating and working out, which is less is more, but that's not what I was thinking. It was just based on my lifestyle and how I trained. Did I do cardio no, but back then I taught a couple of step classes, which were more muscle classes. So women didn't want to come to, they wanted to do jazz hands. And I was like, well, you're not getting that here. Yeah, I said, well, all right, everybody, let's get out of your system. Everybody jazz hands. But I still have people 20 years later say to me, like, my legs have never looked like they did. Because it was all about squats and lunges. And, that was right on the cusp of when step started from like Jane Fonda high-low aerobics, where women were just doing crazy amounts of cardio. So I come in with a whole different mentality and switched it up and then became... I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but then like people were like, oh my gosh, like there was lines to get in my classes because women were sore and they were seeing changes. So not that I changed the industry, but I think I changed some of those women's mindset, which I still have that mindset. When I talk about nutrition and I talk about training and, when women ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I eat and I lift. And if you see me on cardio, you better ask me if I'm okay. Not that cardio is bad, and I think in our last episode, I kind of got a little caught up in that. It's not a bad thing, but for me personally, that is my style. Cardio is not bad, and I'm sure you have a lot of your clients that are doing it for a number of reasons. Right. So I will let you talk about the benefits of cardio with your clients, since I just said if I get on cardio, you're going to have to ask me if something's wrong, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
I like cardio, cardio for cardiovascular health, because obviously cardio comes from something, but also just supplementing with cardio. Yeah. And that's what I get through a lot of my clients' head is like, we don't always need to be doing this high intense cardio all the time. Like cardio is anything that gets your heart rate up for an extended period of time. Yeah. So, like, when people are walking, like a leisure walk, taking steps in, I don't count that as cardio. In my eyes, like, I don't see it as cardio. What I see as cardio is an inclined treadmill, getting your heart rate up, the stairs, like elliptical, stuff like that. And then utilizing that type of cardio if we're in a fat loss phase and we're trying to get into more of a deficit and driving output there. So I like cardio in its... place, and there's a time and a place for everything for it. And some people will think all they need to do is just cardio, and it's like, well, you have to have a balance of things. It's everything, whether it's it's cardio and it's nutrition and doing things that are good for your mind, body, and soul. Yoga has so many benefits to it, and it's to have a well-rounded program. For me, I'm not a runner. Excuse me, I'm not a runner. I don't like running, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just for me and what I choose. But, I also am a walker and I love walking. And I think for me, it's more realistic. It's more realistic, but it's also my self-care. Walking is self-care for me because I'll walk for 2 hours and Absolutely. I listen to things, podcasts or, seminars or workshops and get knowledge and education as I'm doing that. So I think once I've finished my walk, I feel pretty amazing, A, because I've walked, but B, I've come off with some knowledge and some education. I've learned something, and I think that raises people's self-esteem. You know what I mean? It's something that you completed and you feel really good about, which again, the chemical, our insides will change based on how we're feeling. So if you're feeling good, dopamine and things like that, because again,
you let stress is going to wreak havoc on your body, right? And there's things that you can do with walking. But I also, at some point, it's very important to get oxygen to the brain, right? So that's another benefit, not just, with weight loss or goals, whatever the case may be, but it is very good for your body. Movement, getting the blood flow for your joints, your brain. And I think that's where I look at cardio for me right now. Is that something that I need to do for those reasons? For me, not that I'm old, but to start a running program.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody said that to me. I was like, well, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. There's no reason for me to do that right now. For me personally, it doesn't mean that, if you're at 16, you want to start a running program. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I don't think that you would, but I think it's just at this point, this is what direction I want to go into. And once the weather changes, that's it. I stop walking. It's it. That's it. It's cold. I'm not going outside. So I did invest in a walking pad. Of course, I haven't used it yet. Well, I've only had it for a little while, but it's something that, because I miss, I love walking in nature. And I think that's really important part of, self-help and mental clarity. But I miss that education piece. And I do listen to podcasts, but it's so different when you can actually focus and you're moving. There's times I'm like, oh my God, I think I just walked for 2.5 hours. Like, where am I? No, one time I did kind of get lost, sort of. I mean, I was still in Colombia, but I was, where am I? But I was very focused that day. But it's, it's a really important factor to have. And I know I just tease a lot about cardio, but it's one of the best things that you can do. But you got to put it in its right place.
So, getting back into the nutrition part.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the biggest difference in nutrition, I guess, with your upbringing?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And the difference you see now, because you're in a gym, like you still hear people talk about it. And obviously I work with people who are 20, 18, all the way up to people who are in their 50s too. Yeah. So like, what do you find, what do you hear about the differences? Well, what did you experience and what do you feel like it's
oh my gosh,
turning into now?
So different. And I'll go back to I'm from the generation where you had a stay-at-home mom. Like, that was the norm, right? And, you had dinner at the same time and you had a starch and a meat and it was a very well-rounded meal. And then you always had a dessert. You had dessert. Of course, I didn't eat my peas, so I wasn't allowed to have dessert. I won't tell you what I did with my peas to get dessert, but nothing bad. I mean, kind of. Anyway. But, that was, and, you had staples, right? There was a vegetable. It's just now, not only is the diets have changed, and there's so much I can dig into, so I just have to kind of hone in on what I really want to focus on. But there was no diets. There was no, when I'm saying 70s and even in the 80s, I don't ever remember, my generation of girls, we were like, oh, I got to go on a diet. We have to be this way, or we have to be skinny, or we can't eat that. I don't remember that, at least in my group, with my friends. And I've never been that person. And, as long as you've talked to me, I'm like, I've never not eaten something that I want, ever, 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 because I wasn't brought up that way, you know what I mean, as far as nutrition. There was no keto and no gluten-free. There was nothing. I'm going to tell you this, for breakfast, we would have fried eggs, biscuits, real bacon, real butter, and that's all we knew. And I remember when it was in the 90s, my mom bought mayonnaise. I don't know whatever the fake mayonnaise is. I don't know what it was, but it was mayonnaise, low fat. Well, I probably couldn't see then, but I used it. I was like, "Ooh, that tastes funny." I was like, "Oh." And I left the knife in the sink overnight, and the next day it was hard. It was and I was like, what is this? So my mom was like, "What is that?" I said,
And I said, this is what low-fat mayonnaise is? I'm not eating that. Because it was hard as a rock. So who knows what was in that?
Your insides. Yeah.
Right. So, of course, I was like, I'll just eat real mayonnaise. You know what I mean? But again, it was just very different. The way food was cooked, the way snacking, like there wasn't a whole lot of snack foods. You talk about, when microwaves came out, it was very like there was only certain foods you could cook in there. And then all of a sudden, you can cook everything. And then I think people have more of a variety of different foods to eat. It's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I took my nephews to McDonald's. When I was a kid, the Coke was like this big. I mean, there wasn't super sides and number 2s and 5s with a number 4 and a 3 and I'll have a 10,000. I don't even know what. So I took my nephews in there for lunch and I was like, oh, what? And they were like, they go, Ange, just order a 4. And I was like, excuse me, like, what is a 4? He's like, well, super. And you guys just order what you. It was so confusing. I said to the lady, I said, when did all this change? And she was like, what are you talking about, lady? It's like so crazy. You know what I mean? And again, just the staple, when you ate, what you ate, and not worrying about, I can't eat that because I'm going to gain weight, or I can't do this. We were active. So whatever we ate, we were outside running when I say running the streets, we didn't listen. If I stayed inside, I had to clean my room, or you had to clean. So we were outside. So, the activity level is different, right? You know how you feel, your clients feel, we feel when you've done some type of activity that you feel really good about. So we were outside running and playing. So our mental health was probably in a better state than kids now who are, sitting, in front of the screen. And, I think parents now, when there was one parent home, I think there was a little bit more structure and guidance for kids. Now kids come home, there's no parent home, or, and I'm just making a broad, it's the way the world is, right? It's not not everybody. But I think for me, what I experienced with people that I know and just in my environment, I feel like that's a huge game changer. And you hear a lot of people my age talking about how it used to be in the olden days. And they're worried about their kids who sit and they're playing on games, or they're not active. You know what I mean? Getting sent to your room now is a whole different thing than when I was sent to my room. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of differences between, our generations and food and our take on food. And I can't say that, people then, I never heard about diets, and we weren't judging ourselves. Do you know what I mean? As much as I think your generation is, but there's the social media aspect that can destroy. I don't even know, like it's horrible. And I have nieces and nephews, and when I talk to them about the 70s, they say, oh my gosh, I wish I lived in the 70s, because they see that there wasn't a lot of stress then. I mean, I'm sure there was, and I can't say that there wasn't, but it was just a different world.
You weren't sitting there comparing yourself on a screen to somebody else.
No.
Now let me ask you this. Because nowadays, social events are revolved around food.
Yeah.
Like, America is revolved around food and entertainment.
Yeah.
Was it like that in the 70s?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? Like, in what aspect?
Like, parties had to have big food tray, like stuff like that. Because I feel like...
I mean, I think the foodie thing.
The foodie thing
is, no. I mean, we had cookouts. We had hamburgers and hot dogs and potato chips.
Okay, yeah.
You're just your normal...
Right. Okay, so let me ask you this, because I know the answer could be different for people and households, but were you raised in a household where you had to make all gone on your plate? Mm-hmm. You had to make all gone? Because I'm finding that right there has a big effect.
Oh, that's my alarm.
It's Angela's sleepy time alarm. So back to what I was saying. So the all gone thing, and I'm realizing now that that has a big effect on people's mental when it comes to like, especially eating out, or even like if you have a meal, like you have to eat the entire thing, even when you're full.
You can't
like,
leave the table until you finish your meal.
Like you are full, but then you are continuing to eat and pushing yourself past full and more into you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So one tip I give people, another free tip here, when you go out to eat, ask for a to-go box and put half in the to-go box.
Yeah.
So that way you're already taking half home.
I mean, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I remembered, I forgot about that. Actually, it was so normal. Like my dad said, oh, you can't leave the table until you finish everything. And then I wouldn't get dessert.
Dessert.
So it was like, eat everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's when I kind of threw my peas
on the floor.
No. So the way peas, I still can't eat peas. So my dad was like, I remember Mom saying, well, she doesn't like peas. Why are we giving them to her? Because they're good for her. And I was like, oh. So the kitchen was like, there was, a doorway to the dining room and then the entrance to the kitchen down the steps. So my dad left me at the table by myself, and I took my fork and I was like, what do I do with these? I was like, oh. I was flicking
They didn't see the peas on the floor?
Not that night.
Okay.
And then my dad comes back and he was like, oh, calls me Anna. Like, goes, oh, good job, Anna. Like, you ate all your peas. I was like, I got ice cream. Next thing you know, next day, Angela Marie, get in the living room. Well, the dogs had like picked up all the peas. They didn't eat them. They didn't like them either.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad said, you will have peas tonight for dinner and you will eat every single pea.
And I will watch you.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And yeah, I guess I ate them. I don't know. I remember spitting peas in the toilet, so maybe I cheated. To this day, I can't eat peas. But that was, or my dad would say, if you don't finish your meal, you'll have it for breakfast.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a Polish thing, but I was like, ew. If I don't like it now, what makes you think I'm going to like it in the morning?
Right.
Right?
Very true.
I don't know, but I definitely remember that. And then the dessert. So, but as you're talking, I'm thinking every time I sit down to eat, I eat everything. I eat everything. And whether it's a small meal or a big meal, or I go out to eat, and I don't know if that's what that's from. I really don't. Has it affected me? I mean, I'm sure it's some level, if you overindulge.
Do you ever feel like you get to a point where you're stuffing yourself uncomfortably?
Yeah, here and there. Like, when there's pizza and I'm like, oh, let me just, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Or things like that.
Okay.
Never with peas. Yeah, never with peas. But, no. And I think even now when I make a meal, I don't measure stuff. I eyeball it, but I'll have, like today I had a piece of chicken and a sweet potato, but, and some avocado, but I did put some blue cheese dressing on it with hot sauce because that tastes amazing to me. I know. It's like buffalo chicken.
You lost me at the blue cheese.
You don't like blue cheese?
No.
Oh, well, okay. You like wings?
I don't like cheese at all.
Oh, okay.
Cheese and ranch.
No, I'm not a rancher. I'm not a big cheese person, but blue cheese I do like with hot sauce.
Interesting.
Have you put celery in that when you're eating wings? Anyway, but I think when I make my meals now, I'm not making gigantic meals, but I make enough where I know I'm going to be full. Yeah. And there's times where I'm like, oh, I'm still hungry, but I just think that's because I probably am still hungry.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure, that's something that my generation, because, it's ingrained in us.
Yeah. And I feel like it does kind of lay in the back of some people's minds, too, as they, get more in tune with nutrition and stuff like that, and especially with weight loss and stuff like that. They get so lost in the sauce with that.
Well, that goes back to that day, and I bring it up again, where you were, oh my gosh, not wanting to eat a burger. And I think,
there are triggers. Like I said, we have triggers, and that was clearly a trigger for you. You know what I mean? And so for me, who knows? Like if I wasn't there to acknowledge that, like I said, would you have gone, or would you even gave it a second thought, or would we have been like, whoa, wait a second? You know what I mean? And then just talking about how people won't eat certain things and are I've had clients like that, and I know you have too, where you just got to let go of the reins a little bit, because in your situations, why I asked you, your before and after picture, because clearly whatever you were doing before, people would think that whatever you were doing before was what you're doing now. Right.
Yes. Right. And it would,
the
flip.
And so when women ask me what I do, and I tell them, they're like, what? That's it? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And it's, as trainers, nutrition is 75 to 80%. Like, your program can be on point, but if your nutrition isn't on point. But again, if you're, a lot of times people in a caloric deficit who don't even know they're in a caloric deficit. And then, you've heard it. How come, I'm eating good, I'm working out, and I'm losing weight. I'm not losing weight. And, it's because of the program that they're doing. You know what I mean? And I think the first thing people do is go to food. And all right, let me do more activity and less food, which is, you need to be doing the
small,
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is another.
Well, the diet pills. We can talk about the diet pills came out in my generation. That was so bad.
But like the eat small, be small, which obviously pertains to, women not wanting to put on muscle, but also women literally eating rabbit food.
Well, I mean, you look at society, and so all women, I think it's so different now, but in my generation, I think it was about how to be as skinny as a model. Like, women were supposed to be skinny. And, I think we talked about in the last episode, like, I'm so the opposite. I don't know why, but I was never like that. I think I liked lifting, and I liked the way it made me look, but I think most women, and even now my age, still want to be skinny. And again, ask me, or they'll say, and you've heard it too, like, well, I don't want to look like a man. I'm like, do I look like a man? And like I said last episode, when they say no, I'm like, ugh.
If it was that easy, I think we all would be walking around like
with
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
With mustaches.
Like if it was
and
that
mullets.
Easy.
Maybe some mullets.
Yeah.
I think you'd have a mullet.
If it was that easy,
But it's not. And I think, genetically, like, I think for both of us, you know what I mean? I think, if you want to push yourself and you want to grow muscle, you can certainly do it. Absolutely, but it's not easy. It's not easy. You're just not going to lift weights and get big. Like, you and I, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There has to be.
I mean, I didn't know I was strong, and I was like, okay, I'll just lift that, because there was no other women lifting like that. So I just lifted heavy.
Right.
I don't think I ever picked up a 5 or 10 pound. I still don't really.
The endorphins behind feeling strong.
It's amazing.
Like, when you have that eat small, be small mentality, and like you're constantly depriving yourself to be small. Yeah. I know your energy is low. Like, I know, like,
you can't feel good.
You can't, like, how. It's just so empowering to be able to go to the gym and be able to lift and be strong, and also be functionally strong too throughout the day.
So that too, but the confidence that it builds, and that's the biggest thing. Like, people, and I'm sure they'll say to you, like, people will say, well, the biggest thing I notice about you, Angela, is just your confidence. And I was like, but it's not that I don't know how to word it, where it's just comes when you feel strong, you feel good. That confidence just, it's not a forced feeling. It's just, that's how you come off, because when you're strong, you feel good. Your body is, in a different state that if I just, didn't lift, let's say, and I like to feel strong, and, that might not be for everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And in my head, I'm like, whoa, why wouldn't it be? But I also think that sometimes people haven't experienced that experience of what it feels like to grow and be strong, and
like, whoa, like it just elevates everything. You know what I mean? You feel more confident in different aspects of your life. And like
Powerful.
I said, powerful. It's empowering.
People look up to you.
There's a whole different, and same for you and for me, like, you know, especially, you know, now with my age, but, you know, I met a lady a couple of weeks ago, and I was at a corporate on-site, and she was 70, and, you know, I was like, okay, this is going to be me in 10 years. Like, holy crap. Like, 50 to 60 went by fast. I'm thinking, and she was 70, right? And she was in a situation where she hadn't really taken care of herself, but she was in the Army, and so she had some regimen, but she didn't continue that, and she was trying to get back to that. And, you know, in my head, I start to realize, sometimes I don't realize how lucky I am, but I put the work in, and I'm determined to be in a certain way, and I like to be that way. But I thought, you know, how lucky I am to be able to not have to worry about some things. And there was some health issues and some other things going on. And I think back to, okay, like when I was 27, I was like, man, I want to be like that. And so I've been consistently doing that. And that's where you're going to be at 60, the same person. And it's not, I haven't done anything special. You know me, I'll eat, talked about Pizza Hut and cookies, you know what I mean? And so I don't deprive myself. I certainly don't eat it every day. But I think it's definitely helps to, you know, I feel really good about my body and who I am and how strong I am, that if I eat a cookie, it's going to hurt me? No, because I already feel pretty amazing. And I think that's what it also creates. Because when you move and you walk, and I think you're right, people have a different respect for you. You know,
you're taking care of yourself.
Especially, you know, again, with my age. I mean, 60 is not young. It's not old. But, you know, you ask your mom, like women our age way back in the day, and 60 to me was old, like gray hair and old lady shoes and, you know what I mean? Like, you know, pantyhose and, you know what I mean? And I'm totally the opposite. Definitely totally.
Converse.
Oh my God, my little Converse. I just bought a new pair of Nikes.
Yeah.
Dunks. Yeah.
Okay. Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
And this is an audio on Instagram that I came across the other day. But it was basically highlighting the fact that no one has ever wrote a song about girls having abs or...
Oh.
It's always been a song about big butt or...
Mm-hmm. Booties and boobs and
bigger.
Lips and...
Yeah. And I just thought it was funny because, like,
Yeah.
it's kind of true. Like...
Yeah. Fit girls.
It was just funny.
Can you sing? I can't play.
Absolutely no.
Okay, well.
Absolutely
Like,
not.
we could put together a song. I could play the harmonica.
But
Not really.
This is a good point here, too, with relating, I guess, showing the huge gap between where you were at, how things were in the 70s to now, and the access that people have now as far as different foods, different snacks, artificial foods, like, stuff on that end, too.
So I'm going to stop you real quick because there's something else, you know, when you're talking about that, but also I am from the era where Jane Fonda became a bit jazzercise, and that's that took over. Like, I mean, it was insane. My mother taught Jane Fonda aerobics, and I was 18, and my friends and I went and took her class. I walked out of there and was like, never, nope, never again, nope, It was, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it was too, like, I guess maybe, I mean, I would have been on a dance team before, but that was not dancing. I don't know what that was. It was a little crazy. But the dress and the hair and, like, you know, the head warmer socks, like, it was a whole, like, social thing. Thongs, you know what I mean? It was gyms were very social then.
I feel like that's resurfacing.
Well,
I feel like people nowadays care what they look like at the gym. Like, it's
yes,
turned into like a...
It's a younger generation.
Yeah, like, it's circling back.
It's circling back, and I think, yeah, like sometimes I'm like, wow, like there's some young girls with not a lot of clothes on. And I just want to say to them, you're more than your asses, ladies.
You are.
Bitches.
You're
more than, and I say it a lot because that's all I think that's the big focus right now. You know what I mean? And I see that. Yeah, I see that. It's all over Instagram. And that's why, when I look at your stuff, like you're not trying to promote, I don't know. And I don't want to say anything bad, but I think for your page, I love the fact.
Bad, you're just stating your opinion. Everyone
but I mean, like I've said to you, it was like, I'm thankful that I can look at your page and you're not half naked. You know what I mean? You're working hard, and all the information is all educational, and it's not about, hey, this is the makeup I use. I mean, you can, but
it's just not my personality.
No, it's not. No, I feel like, are you all right?
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
A little hardcore, little, like, I'll wear baggy clothes to the gym. I'll also wear nice clothes too. But
yeah, but I didn't mean that in a bad way. But I think the point is that you're legit. You know what I mean? And I think when it's even for someone my age, let's say I'm looking for a trainer and I see you, I would be more likely to go in that direction to you than to somebody who's just really promoting clothes and their glutes.
They're not walking the walk and talking the talk.
No, because some women my age, except for me, it's not about their glutes. It's about health. It's about balance. It's quality of life. You know what I mean? It's not how their butt looks in a pair of jeans. I mean, I could be wrong, but I know I'm still like that, but kind of. But I think,
hey, look good, feel good.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is the society was pushing women into these high aerobic classes with just, there was some movie with Jamie Lee Curtis in it. I can't remember it was called 10 with John Travolta. It's very provocative. And so it was very sexualized then too, with the thongs, right? And all that. And there was bars and gyms, and you could do aerobics class and sit in the bar and drink. I mean, but they would go outside and smoke cigarettes and come back in. Like that was normal to us. You know what I mean? So it's a very different world, and I think it switched over. It's definitely switched over, but then after COVID, I can just see a big change in the younger generation, especially the girls.
Absolutely.
And, I think it's great that younger girls are working out, but I think the reason why they're doing it isn't good.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of those girls will come and talk to me, and, they'll confide in me things. I'm like, these girls are amazing, and they look amazing, and some of them don't feel so amazing. And that makes me sad too, because I'm like, wow. And it's Instagram, or I don't know, like somebody said the other day, it was like, oh, that girl has a BBL because no one's glutes can be that perfect. And then I'm like, oh no, maybe not. Yeah. Maybe that is, I'm not thinking that way. I'm not. I mean, I'm not concerned about, I'm not at this, I've never been like that. I'm not judging myself or critiquing myself against someone else. Right. I've never done that. But that's where people's heads are at. Like, oh, that's got to be fake. And who knows, it could be. And then some people are going it just to extremes.
I understand that, because I would have a problem, let's say if someone did have a BBL and was claiming it wasn't a BBL, and they were talking all this stuff, claiming, I can see, but if you're gonna,
I don't know. It's just, if somebody has that and they're on Instagram and a younger girl is looking at the Instagram and seeing that, and then they're posting, if you want a juicy dump truck, this is what you're doing.
Do this,
oh
and
my
then
God.
It's completely framed.
And a meal plan.
It's definitely a lie, and they're not walking the walk and talking the talk, and then people fall into that hole.
Mm-hmm. And then they're depressed, and that's why I keep saying, when I look at your TikTok and your Instagram, it's not like that. It's like legit lifting. And,
you give some education and knowledge,
and
it's all basic stuff.
Yeah,
it's not, it's just a lot.
Yeah, and with that being said too, if anyone ever has any questions, like, I'm always open. My face during the gym might not seem like I'm a happy person, but it's just because I'm in the zone. But if someone ever has a question about anything, or like, I'm always open to just giving advice, giving tips, because at the end of the day, like, even this podcast is all about giving back and showing people that there is real, raw truth behind things. Don't believe everything on the internet. Don't believe everything on TikTok. Don't believe everything on Instagram, because nowadays, like you said, it's so flooded with everything. And connect with people that walk the walk, talk the talk, and that's going to lead you to understanding the real why behind it. Yeah. Because that's what's the most important thing.
And I think, it's like, you walk through the gym and I find myself just shaking my head like, man, like, where are you going to be in 5 or 10 years? Like, this is, if you're feeling this way about yourself, like, it won't get better, and it's more education out there for women.
And this even brings me back to one of my clients now. Like, your mental follows your physical. If you're mentally not in a good headspace, your physical is not going to show that. And sometimes you have to take that step back and get your mental in check, whatever you got to do, whatever that underlying issue is, versus trying to put the Band-Aid on it. Yeah. And fix that. Like, why are you acting that way? Because your physical that you're trying to change is not going to change until you get that mental under your belt. And so that's the thing. It's teaching people. Yeah. It's giving information that people can trust, and not just fake Photoshop, whatever.
And I, like I said, I just think, again, I'm 30 to 40 years older than some of these girls, and I just want to just grab them and be like, you just don't have to, it doesn't have to be like this. And it's, I think, like, again, in my generation, women were not lifting. They did not want to have muscle. It was so the opposite. And I wonder, like, okay, so 20 years from now, where's the fitness industry going to be? That's a whole nother podcast. You know what I mean?
It's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
But, like,
especially since I'll be 80. I'll be 80.
Oh, gosh.
Will you come visit me at the old people's home?
I hope we're still doing this.
In the old people's home. I'll be like, who are you? But maybe I'll look 65.
Yeah. Not even. Well.
Don't ever let me do that again. But I do have a question. So you talking about your podcast. So, like, when people ask you for advice, what do you hear the most? What do people ask you the most?
How to lose weight.
Okay. Which would be a duh.
I need to lose weight.
They didn't say, how can I get a bigger butt after I lose weight?
I feel like that's the second question.
Okay, so, all right. So
the first question is mostly if I had to tally the votes.
Okay. Well, I'm sort of glad to hear that, because that means, it just means that people are maybe more focused on other things and not just their rear ends. But because people are so different, and if you have clients, you don't put them on the same meal plan. You don't even put them on the same program. So how do you answer those?
Right, because how do I lose weight is such a broad question, especially if I don't even know you.
Well, right. Like, again, I know, because as a trainer for myself, like, people ask me that. I was like, I got to sit down and talk to you and ask questions before I can give you any recommendations.
That's how I coach. My coaching is all about asking questions and asking questions so that you can actually answer your questions on your own by me simply asking you questions. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. It all starts to, how long have you been trying to lose weight? Yeah. What's your nutrition look like? Mm-hmm. What are you doing throughout the day? like what's your activity level throughout the day? Are you working out? What do your workouts look like? Yeah. Kind of starting from there. That's like a good baseline. That gives me a good idea of like who they are, what they're doing, if they know what they're doing. Because I can pick up on that too if someone knows what they're doing by just the way they kind of talk to me about their day-to-day workout, stuff like that. It's so hard to, like I said, such a broad question that it's hard to answer. Because
I'm sure.
Someone could be trying to lose weight and they don't even know what a calorie is, right? Or it could be someone that's been trying to lose weight and has been tracking their calories for the past 4 months and nothing's happened. So like, it really just depends.
I mean,
But I guess the number one thing I would say is, I guess a couple things is, you know, what does your nutrition look like? Are you eating wholesome foods? Are you focusing on protein? Mm-hmm. I guess that would be the number one thing. Are you having protein with every meal?
Yeah.
How many times a day are you eating? Mm-hmm. Are you drinking enough water?
Your stress sleeping? Level, even that.
Are you stressed? Probably yes, but yeah, what is your stress like? How often are you getting some sort of movement in? Are you going to the gym? Stuff like that. So it really depends. But if anyone has any questions, they are more than okay to message me on Instagram, Morgan Personal Trainer on
like,
Instagram, or Coach Morgan Team NCR on TikTok. Yeah. Or you can visit www.ncrnutritioncoaching.com to fill out an application. Actually, again, schedule a call with me, and we can talk a little bit further too.
So, question. So, if somebody does schedule a call with you, is that just a free consultation?
Yeah, so first call is always free. Okay. 20-30 minutes. Okay. Gives me an idea of where you're at, what you're doing, if I can give you advice. And then if you're interested in, you know, my coaching services and what I do, then we can talk about that a little bit more too. But for anyone out there, regardless if you want to work with me or not, you can get on a phone call with me and we can definitely chop it up and I can help you somehow, some way. Yeah. Like I said, I'm all about giving back, and I walk the walk, I talk the talk. Yeah. Real people.
Well, I think, it's a basis for, you know, us doing this and having these conversations.
Absolutely. There's so much more to talk
because about. Every day we have these conversations. You know what I mean? Every day with what I do and with what you do. Yeah. You know, and, you know, again, Morgan will come to my gym and work out, and we'll catch up, and then we just go right into whatever.
I'm like, dang, we should be recording.
I know. Sometimes it's pretty funny. Yeah. But I think it's important. You know, this may for some people, they may be like, I already know all this, but there's a heck of a lot of people that do not, and we see it every day.
Exactly, and there's a lot more that we can build on top of the topics of conversation here. Yeah. And obviously, too, if anyone has any topics that they want us to be covered too, we can definitely get more scientific into it too.
I think one of the things that I definitely want to touch on, we've talked about this, is just the hormonal changes with menopause. The body between your age.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then as you are moving forward into, this is a whole nother podcast, and I don't want to get too much into it because it's a lot.
No, we're going to talk about it next time.
Yeah, but I do want to say that, you know, the biggest thing is that and so for you too as well, when women come to me and they're telling me all these things, how they're feeling, I'm like, you're in perimenopause. And you know what they say? Oh, what? Like, they're shocked. And I think, how is that? But then I think back, for me, I didn't know you could be in perimenopause for 10 years. I had no idea. And I didn't probably have a whole lot, because I don't have a whole lot of menopausal symptoms. I get really nothing. I think I was getting some brain fog, but, you know, supplements, and I will talk a little bit about that, what I've done. And, you know, creatine is a huge supplement for women to take. Anyone, but, you know, I think women are worried, I'm going to get muscle. It's so good for your body, and it's good for your brain. Yeah, yes. So we'll table that. But,
that's the thing that, you could be in perimenopause and not know it. But if you start now and you realize and you see what's happening and you start to make changes,
be more in tune.
Then by the time you get into full-blown menopause, you're going to be in a hole. Once you hit that, it's very hard. And I hate to say it, to make those changes. Weight loss is hard. It's joint. It's so many things. And I definitely want to touch on that next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to get some guest speakers.
Absolutely.
With that. Because again, I think that's a huge topic.
Sure.
That we actually talk about that a lot for me. Because I've and I've experienced some things lately where, the biggest thing I'll take away, and then that'll be it, is, whatever you're doing now, if it's not working, that means you need to change it up 100%. Because at some point when you are in perimenopause, doesn't matter what you did in your 20s and 30s, it ain't happening in your 40s. It's not.
Reach.
Yeah. But it's such an easy, you don't have to do anything crazy. Yeah. It's just making sure your nutrition is on point.
Less is more.
Lifestyle. Oh, yeah. I mean, less is more. And Morgan's been telling me that. I was like, so I worked out once in the last 2 weeks. Is that less? Or do I need to do more?
Oh, Angela.
I know. No, I'm just kidding. I work out hard. Morgan, actually, you could see me working out with Morgan. How long ago was that?
It was in the summer, so it's been about a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was 59. I have to do a 60 workout.
All right, well, this was a lot of information.
Yeah.
Again. We went off on a couple tangents.
Morgan, we can't not.
I hope y'all can follow along here, because it's about like a roadmap that just goes
right.
Off. Yeah, this isn't a...
But it's so organic. Like we've been doing these conversations for so long. And I think even when we start this, we try to hone in on what we want to talk about, and then it just doesn't. And I think that's the beauty of the conversation.
Absolutely.
Is it's not scripted. This is like organic. This is if we weren't with the lights and camera and action, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Because I'm 50 and I like to stretch.
Happy birthday, Ange.
Oh, it's not yet. I'm still 59.
Happy early birthday. Anyway.
It's Monday the 26th, so if you want to wish me a happy birthday on Morgan's Instagram, and what is it again?
Yes. Morgan the personal trainer. Want to give a quick plug to Flavor Gang.
Oh, yeah, their stuff is amazing.
Code Morgan.
We should do your cookbook.
Cookbook?
I wonder if people would want to see us cook a meal.
That could be, but cookbook, Chaos in the Kitchen, hard copies are coming out.
It's amazing. It's so
February
beautiful.
19th.
The pictures are beautiful. You never cook. You can just look at the pictures.
Obviously, when this episode drops, it's already going to be out, but hard copies come out. Check it out. It's Chaos in the Kitchen on Instagram.
You have a little promotion going.
Have a little promotion, but probably when this is over, this gets launched, people aren't going to see it. Chai Fam also. Chai Fam is another company that I use. They have prepackaged chicken breasts that are already made. Super easy and convenient because I can literally just throw them in the microwave or thaw them out. Code Morgan if you use them as well. I will drop all the links in the bio so you all can have all of those links and all those discounts because we love discounts, right?
Yes.
With that being said, do you have any closing?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out for some of my products.
Absolutely.
I don't have any products. But this is another conversation that people ask me is collagen. So I actually use MVP collagen.
Okay.
And I swear by it.
Okay.
I mean, I've been using collagen, and MVP wasn't around then, but I've been using collagen since 2017 consistently. I've tried different products, but I do like that one just because it is grass-fed. And I feel like because it's a community-based business, I definitely want to support. And I've been using their unflavored protein actually in my coffee to get more protein in.
Cool.
Because hormonally we need to have more protein. So I'll table that one again. But, definitely look into some things like that, especially Flavor Gang is amazing. If your food doesn't taste good, you're not going to eat it. And, Morgan definitely, I hate to say the word, turned me on to that, but she did. And I was like, what? I went through that stuff really fast. But it's really good. And Follow him on Instagram too. But Morgan has some codes that you can use, but that's really great.
Code Morgan on anything and everything.
And then your cookbook,
Flavor
you
Gang.
use that stuff in your cookbook.
Yep,
So.
it's in the cookbook. So Flavor Gang, Chai Fam.
Yeah.
Code Morgan. Shout out to MVP.
Yeah. Cool. And I'll talk a little bit more about my stuff.
Oh, cool. All right, well, we are officially signing out of this episode 2, and I hope you enjoy and you can follow along because this was a packed one.
Yep. Thank you guys. Thank
you
you for listening. See you next time.